Welcome back again to Joe Stunner Boxing. A few days ago, I posted a poll asking the question: if you were a fighter, who would you sign with? Which promoter would you sign with? And 131 of you voted. And I'm not saying that this poll represents, the absolute truth or anything like that. It was really just an experiment. Obviously, this is a small boxing channel. We got about 1,400 subscribers, and I'm grateful to every one of them. And if you voted, thank you very much. But the five promoters that I put on the list were Frank Warren and Queensberry, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, Ben Shalom and Boxer, Top Rank, obviously Bob Arum, and Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy. And I accept that because this is a British based boxing channel, and probably most of my subscribers are from the UK, that Top Rank and Golden Boy probably weren't going to get the most votes. If this was an predominantly American channel, they get more votes, so okay, I accept that. However, let me read you the results. Oscar De La Hoya, Golden Boy, got 4% of the vote. With 10% of the vote came Bob Arum and Top Rank. In third place, with 11% of the vote, not much between Top Rank and this next guy, who is, of course, Mr. Shoulder Roll himself, Frank Warren and Queensberry, they got 11%. And then you had a jump to 21% for the runner-up, which was Ben Shalom and Boxer. And the top dog in this poll, 131 of you voted, was Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, with 53%. Over half of the votes went to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. So over half of you are saying, if I was a boxer, I'd sign with Eddie. Now, I posted this poll because with this in mind. Because I thought, I bet you Eddie Hearn gets the most votes. And sure enough, he did. He got over half. I'm a little surprised at that. I thought Ben Shalom and Boxer might give Matchroom a run for their money. But no, Eddie gets 53% of the vote. And this is intriguing to me because DAZN has been, we all know it's been leaking money. And we all know the arguments about, well, it's dead zone. No one knows about it. It's hidden. People don't understand, the app, or they overlook it, and it hasn't got the platform. And all these arguments that all hold some water have been made recently. Not just recently, but it's an ongoing thing. And definitely DAZN is under the cosh financially. But the quality of DAZN's product, the quality of the fights, of the cards Matchroom are putting on, although I don't think they're in any way comparable to Hearn when he was at his zenith with Sky. For example, there were a lot more. There seemed to be a lot more cards when he was with Sky, but also you had a lot more of those next gen shows. But I still think the quality of the DAZN product isn't bad at all. The Matchroom product, I don't think it's that bad at all. I really don't. And there's been a lot made out of the fact that Lawrence Okolie left and Buatsi's gone. Buatsi, I think, will be missed. But Okolie, you saw his fight with David Light. It was... The fight with David Light was shite, let's be honest. He's a poet and didn't know it. But come on, man. If you were Eddie Hearn, you must have been thinking, thank God I got rid of him. And I'm rather surprised Hearn tried to keep Okolie. And I think it's probably because he invested so much money in him. And Hearn must be getting sick of losing money as a businessman. Joshua, of course, lost twice. That was a black mark against DAZN, supposedly. He lost other fighters who were, shall we say, second-tier fighters, like Liam Smith, for example, who had that great win over Eubank. And Natasha Jonas left, and she's, been absolutely flying at Sky. She's moved up several weights, and she's now a unified champ. So, yeah, Eddie's taken some hits, but it's very, very intriguing that over half of you said, no, Eddie Hearn, I'd go with Eddie Hearn as a promoter. Why is this? I think again, I repeat, the American promoters, if you're based in Britain, you're probably feeling, I'm not going to go with Top Rank, I'm not going to go with Golden Boy. Although both those organisations have put on some very, very good cards. This year alone, we're only, at the back end of March, they've had some really good fights on those cards. Go and check them out. But if you're in Britain, even with Ben Shalom and Boxer, even though the platform's so much bigger than DAZN, people want to go with Matchroom. And why is this? Well, I think if you compare Eddie to Frank Warren, now I know Eddie there was some sort of legal threat with Akoli. You know, you've got to have, I've still got one more option on you, one more fight. It's not, you've got to see out your contract, and I'm going to take you to court to protect our, investment or whatever, however he phrased it. But did it come to a court case? I don't think it did. You compare that to Frank Warren, who has an absolute history of being litigious, and a couple of fighters have lost huge amounts of money. And I think fighters when they sign with a promoter are going to think they want to look long term, but they want to feel safe. They want to feel that they're not going to be ripped off. And there's no doubt that Warren, although he is very good at bringing along young fighters and going down the traditional route of, area, English, British, Commonwealth, European, very, very good at that. And that's the way that I personally like with a young fighter. He's very good at doing that. But I don't think, when you consider in this poll, he only got 11% compared to 53% with Matchroom. Even though Warren has Fury, who is now, as far as I'm concerned, tarnished, and certainly tarnished in the views of a lot of people. If you look at Warren's stable, it's not that deep. He got Yard and maybe a few others, and I'm not saying he doesn't. The Queensberry cards don't have some entertainment on. They do. They absolutely do. But in terms of the BT as a platform, I think the way it's presented is a little bit stale, a little bit 1980s, 1990s maybe. DAZN, a lot has been said about their commentary team not being good, and Eddie gets all his mates in and they're boring and all this. But DAZN at least put on a little bit of a sort of professional, maybe a little bit corporate, but a professional looking product. I hate that word, but we'll go with it. But Eddie seems to be the guy that if you get with him, he will go the extra yard. He will look after you. He won't throw money away, and he's probably learnt from the Buatsi and Akoli investments that went wrong. But he'll be straight up with you. He'll take, and in a sense, you've got to say, well, he passed over a lot of fighters because some people offered them more money, and Eddie said the numbers don't crunch, so off you go, have fun, do your thing. I just think Eddie, and don't get me wrong, look, I would never trust any of the people that were on this list. And certainly Eddie Hearn, if you look at the situation with the Conor Benn thing, he was so, mealy mouth, issue fudging, economical with the truth. It was all spin with the Conor Benn thing, and he is definitely tarnished because of that. But I've always thought Eddie Hearn has this, Essex boy patter, this double glazing salesman, shtick. And I think, despite that, if he feels you're a good commodity, and he will look after you, you will make money with Eddie. He'll do things on a handshake. Not always, but he said sometimes he does things on a handshake, which is good, because then you can say, well, you can do this for me? Yes. And then if it comes to fruition, you say, okay, I can work with this guy. If it doesn't, you walk away, and there's no threat of any kind of legal action. With Warren, without question, there's always that threat. If you have a falling out with Frank Warren, it could get nasty. With Eddie, it's more a case of, all right, bye-bye, see you later. And Ben Shalom, why didn't he get more? He got 21%. He came second in the poll. Inexperience, perhaps. They're still growing. Sky, the Sky platform is there. It's always been there. It's the biggest platform going. By the way, I could have added other people onto this list, couldn't I? Mick Hennessy and maybe a few others, maybe some of the small hall guys who do look after fighters. Yeah, it was just an interesting little tester. So, yeah, Eddie Hearn, 53% and Matchroom. Why? What do you think? Why do you think? Who would you? Leave your comments below. Tell me why you think Eddie came top of the poll. Do you agree with that? Who would you go with? What about the management situation? Because in Britain there's no Ali Act. No Muhammad Ali Act like there is in America. So there can be that conflict of I mean, someone said in one of the comments, I don't know if this is true, but Frank Warren promotes and one of his sons manages some of the fighters. That to me seems like a complete conflict of interest. Well, it is a conflict of interest. It reminds me a bit of the 80s and 90s when Don King would promote and Carl King, his son, would manage some of the fighters. And that's how Tim Witherspoon got a purse of 1.5 million against Frank Bruno and ended up with 33 grand. All those deductions and costs and everything. But yeah, let me know your comments. Let me know your comments about this. Who would you go with if you were a fighter and you had a choice? Let me know. And yeah, thanks for listening. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and leave, like I say, leave a note below. I like reading your comments. I like answering them. It's good fun. And like the video also if you liked it. Hit the like button. That helps us out a great deal. All right. Cheers. We'll speak again soon. Bye for now.